This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel. We're all over the web, VirginiaPreps.com, Facebook, with our Virginia Beach Sportsplex and CoVA Sports pages, as well as on X, 757 Sports Talk, Hatfield Sports, IG, Apple, Spotify. And with the coach, Ed Young, I'm Matt Hatfield. And Ed, we've got a special guest. He is the new head football coach of the Grafton Clippers. He's got some 757 roots, was a running back in the day, not in the BRD, but the PD, and he's been coaching in the BRD. Grafton High School took over from Max Bolton. Ananias boys, Coach Nas with us here. Coach, thank you for stopping by. Congrats on the new gig, and I know you've got to be pumped for the start of football.
I am. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for the congratulations. I definitely appreciate it. I'm pumped for another year of Grafton football. Absolutely.
Well, you get in here late at Grafton. We know Coach Bolton has been battling some health issues, and all the best to him. We wish him well. I know he's going to be helping out over at Phoebus now, but he's gone through a lot of it there, and he's done a good job there. He was co-coaches with Creighton and Cornelius there the last two seasons, 6-5, and now you take over, and it's a late start for you. And we'll get into your background, I'm sure here, Coach. We'll jump in with that with you. But you have to be excited because it's not your typical, oh, my gosh, you get thrust into a bad situation, because the Clippers, before the last two seasons of 6-5, they had some rough years of, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row of one win or no wins. However, Grafton's a team that's making some noise in the BRD, and I imagine that's the plan this coming year. Absolutely.
First and foremost, Max has been a mentor even through this transition. Same with Creighton and Cornelius. I actually had Creighton as a offensive coordinator back in high school, so we were familiar with each other. That was under Tracy Parker, ironically. But yeah, getting started late in the season, this late in the off season, for any other typical situation would be difficult, but the transition has been rather smooth because I've been part of the program for the past 2 seasons. So the same mission, the same goals are there. I have been able to pick up the torch, pick up the baton, and keep it rolling and shape it with my own type of vision and what I want to see happen. The staff is intact, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, it's an exciting time around Grafton. I have the support of the parents. I have the support of administration, which I definitely appreciate them putting their faith in me to be able to continue this torch. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. And how ironic is it you bring up Coach Tracy Parker of Smithfield, who was an office mate of Ed's over at Nansemond River. And ironically, Parker on the show earlier this month, and it's your 5th game for you guys at Grafton. You have 4 before that, though, with the likes of Lafayette, New Kent, Pocosin, and then your season opener coming up on August 29th against the IC Norcom Greyhounds up there in Yorktown.
Yep, absolutely. That game is circled, meaning the Smithfield game. I did get to speak with them a little bit last season when we went out to Smithfield. Actually, the previous 2 seasons when we played them, but never in the head coaching capacity. So I get to show him a little bit of what I learned over the years from him, and yeah, it's an exciting time. But you mentioned IC Norcom being game 1. That's what we're focused on. We're focused on week 1. We have a few scrimmages to get ready for as well within the next 2 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, everything is rolling. The train is still moving. So excitement in the building is what it is right now. It's extreme excitement, extreme high hopes for the season to continue to build on the 6-4s, right? Because our seniors right now, our rising seniors were part of the 1 ends or the 0 ends, right? So it's an extremely exciting time for them transitioning into the next level of football if they get that opportunity. But excitement in the building is what I keep hearing.
Ed?
First of all, Coach, congrats on the move up to the head chair. And of course, that was one of my would-be concerns or questions to ask you was, okay, you get the job really late, but I've read a little bit about your background, being the JV coach the last couple of years. Now listening to you, I don't hear oh, woe is me, we may not win a game. Our kids don't even know which end of the field. I don't know anybody's name. Coaches always play stuff up. I hear in your voice more of an excitement. It's just title change for the most part. But the big question, the big question I would have for you, though, is, and you kind of alluded to it, but I want you to go a little more depth. Now, how do you put your fingerprint as the HC in this? And what are those couple, 2, 3 things that when they said, okay, we want you to take the varsity job, you said yes, that you have to really take care of immediately?
As far as X's and O's, or just overall?
Overall, everything.
Overall, I mean, my thumbprint, what you're going to get, and this is not to say that it wasn't a thing of the previous years, but character is one thing I'm very high on. Kids of high character, and that is an emphasis within the program this year. And as long as I'm the head coach, it will be an emphasis moving forward. Kids of high character, but high athleticism and high football IQ. So my fundamentals and my focus, we did a lot of film last year, but with my background and experience in the year I did in at Buffalo in collegiate sports, film is everything. So even up to watching film before the game, even getting in a lift before the game, taking care of the little things. My focus right now is the little things. So what I've seen in the past from our previous 2 seasons while I was here, we did take care of the overall big mission, which was change the culture here, right? The culture has effectively been changed, but it's still some fine tuning to do. And that starts with the little things, film, being present in the school during the day, being around the kids and promoting that family atmosphere and letting them know you're a student athlete and student comes first, right? The X's and O's, they have the athleticism, they have the athletic ability for that to take care of itself. And I feel we have the coaches in place that really would polish that. I mean, it's the same staff. So really, I did get a chance to actually watch that interview you did with Tracy, but it's the same concept. This is our 3rd year, even though it's my first as head coach. This is year 3, right? So year 3 with some of the staff, and year 2 with some of them. Now that cohesion is starting to take place. Granted, it's offensively, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit as well. Offensively, it's slightly different, but has the same principles. So as far as putting my thumbprint on it, that's the difference you will see offensively and really defensively, which Max, before he left, was guiding us defensively in that direction anyway. And I definitely was on board with that as well.
And of course, now the big thing you got to remember and know, and I'm sure somebody's told you, as an assistant, you can go undefeated. But I told a guy to run this to go to the 4-5. I don't know why we didn't do it. And now, as the head coach, when it hits the fan, it's on you now. I mean, it's
absolutely
just the way it is. I mean, in my coaching, I'll tell our assistants, you got this, and this, and even though basketball is a little different from football, if that part that I gave you screwed up, I'm giving you that credit for the mistakes, just like I got to give you credit when it goes right.
Absolutely.
But in final analysis is on the outside world, head coach, and your relationship is a little different as an assistant. You're more of a buffer with the kids and the head coach. The term I used to use, but try not to use much, good cop, bad cop. Now as the head coach, sometimes that relationship and changing is a little tough for the kids because they kind of might still think, well, you were different as an assistant. Not really. It's just the relationship changes somewhat because of the role.
Absolutely. For us within the building, we just really focus on being consistent and finding that balance, right? Because it really is a balance. So you're correct. Coming from the assistant coach role, which I actually had the corners. So we all know how corners are, right? The prima donnas of the team, right? So I had corners, which they had a little bit more energy. They were a little bit more outgoing and stuff like that. And with me being the younger of the coaching of that staff, I could relate to them a little bit differently. But coming from an authoritative role, which I still was an authoritative figure, now I am the authoritative guy. I don't have to yell at you. I don't have to curse at you. I don't have to do any of those things to get what I need accomplished, right? And I think that's the mark of a really good coach that's running a really good program. If we're out there losing our mind and we're not keeping our cool as coaches, I think that is an energy that becomes contagious, and all energy is contagious, whether it's good or bad energy. And I am I'm very energetic. I coach off energy. I do coach X's and O's, of course, but I do feel, even looking at the outcome of a lot of our games last year, if the energy was a little bit different behind the scenes with us, overall as a program, we may have been able to hang through a lot of those tough games, those close games, and pull it out. Look, I lost you.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, there we go.
Yep, we're back now. Sometimes technology doesn't work the way you want it to. We're talking with Ananias Boyd, the head coach, Coach Nas of the Grafton Clippers, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. Grafton, get ready for that season opener coming up August 29th against the IC Norcom Greyhounds. And in your background, you were a 1,000-yard rusher with the Bethel Bruins back in your day in the PD. I'm sure you have some great fond memories of your time against some of the heavyweights, the Hamptons, the Phoebuses you can touch on. But now it's a matter of grooming 1,000-yard rushers at Grafton. So we'll start with the running backs. Who are the backs we should watch out for this coming season? Take us through the returnees, some of the newcomers, the faces on offense, and then we'll flip it over to defense, the players we should be watching out for this fall.
Roger that. So we do have a returning 1,000-yard rusher, which was Max Barnett. I think he had 1,060 or 1,063 yards, something like that, rushing last year. The ironic thing, I mean, he had over 700 yards called back. So the little things, right? That's a holding call. That's a lot of yardage that was called back. But yeah, so running the ball, Max Barnett will be there. We have a newcomer to the varsity, Harrison Kent Jr. We call him Deuce. He'll be helping head up the backfield. We have a former, I think he made All-Region, which is Colton Sandiford, who he's wrapping up his baseball tours, and he's in line for potential scholarship offers and stuff like that. We promote our kids playing other sports, right? So they can learn to use other muscles and whatever the best opportunity for our kids to go to school, whether that be football, whether that be baseball, track, whatever, basketball. I mean, we do promote them playing other sports. So there's Colton Sandiford offensively returning in the backfield. Our leading returning receiver and probably our most highly recruited person right now is Jaden Brown. Jaden Brown, he made first team all district, first team all region last year. He's a rising senior as well. We have Coy Snyder, who as a sophomore, I think he made all region. Last year, he played a little bit of quarterback. He played a little bit of wide receiver for us, opened up some room for our actual quarterback now, which is Luke Bryant. He's a rising junior. Luke, in like 7 or 8 games, I think he had 11 touchdowns that he threw for. Close to 800 yards, close to 800 yards passing. So I think combined, Luke and Coy both had over 1,000 yards passing, which is pretty solid work. We have Joshua Lawson. We have newcomer, of course, Ananias Boyd. I'm sure we'll get into that. We call him AJ for nickname purposes. We have Joey Foley, who's a tremendous leader on the team. He's a senior. He'll be playing some of that fullback / nub position in our offense. Then we have Will Dickinson, who's another young sophomore with AJ. So I mean, we're loaded offensively for classes to come, whether it's senior, junior, rising sophomores. We have a few freshmen we're looking at as well.
Yeah, not a bad core. And Jaden Brown for you, 26 grabs, I see, 632 yards, 4 TDs. You mentioned one of your most highest recruited guys. Who's looking at him right now? What do you view as far as his upside off to a pretty darn good junior season? And I know playing both ways, he's going to be one of the more dynamic playmakers in the whole BRD this year.
Right. A lot of teams are looking at him. I know we had ODU inquire about him. Of course, I think that's the highest inquiry we had was ODU. A couple D3 programs. Shenandoah, when we went up there for our 7-on-7 this past off season, they were really highly interested in him. I know Christopher Newport's interested in him. So this year would be more of his statement year. We talked to him about leadership, and we talked to him about what it takes to get to that next level. And he's all in and he's willing to do the work on what it's going to take to get there. And next is just execution and footage. We have a really, really good recruiting staff in the building. Leon Scott, he heads that. He's also my offensive coordinator as well. He heads up our recruiting program. He comes from Shores program that won state I think that was the year before last. So he brings that experience in recruiting to the game. So Jaden Brown is pretty much one of the, if not the top athlete on the team.
Outstanding. A few more minutes here with Coach Nas, the head man of the Grafton Clippers, here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's CoVA Sports TV as the season opener comes your way the final weekend of August on that Thursday, the 29th, against the Icy-Norcom Greyhounds for them here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, Ed.
Yeah. Nas, I want to go back into your background. I think it's interesting. You're a 1,000-yard rusher at Bethel. Mm-hmm. And for people got to understand, 1,000 yards in high school, to me, is harder to get than college and pro, because college and pro, you have more games. Yeah. And I always say, if you're a 1,000-yard back, you're pretty damn good. High school, basically 10 games. Of course, you got playoffs. But you got to be pretty good. Now, from what I understand, that parlayed you into the opportunity to play next level. So speak to us as, let's go back in time, as a high school, pretty good high school player. We'll call it what it is. And then the opportunity to go through recruiting and then finally make a decision, and tell us some stuff about Buffalo.
All right. So starting with, I got to say, I said I was a Tracy guy, but technically, if we're starting at the origins, I'm a Dennis Kozlowski guy, right? I am the last of Dennis's coached generation at Bethel.
And you made it through. Because Koz was a different character.
So dealing with, all of that as an 8th and 9th grader. When I say all of that, you mean, the protests and all that good stuff that was going on around the team at the program. I am just familiar with adversity at a young level, right? So that was my 8th and 9th grade year. And then Tracy took over heading into my sophomore season, which was where the 1,000 yards took place as a sophomore. My junior year was not as good. I missed, I believe it was 2 to 3 games my junior year. Still ended up with 700 and some change. And that's just rushing. And then my senior year, which was our 8-2 year with playing with, the likes of Jimmy Williams, Christopher Ellis, all the hokey guys, right? We finished 8-2. We did not make the playoffs that year because structure was a little bit different than what it is now. But those years, I hold very close to my heart, all 5 of them. I say 5 because I came into the program as an 8th grader. And I hold those really close to my heart. I learned so much about the sport, but what I was not prepared for was the business side of it, right? And when I say the business side of it, I don't know. There was an article written my senior year where I spoke about, not really having a focus on grades and stuff like that my junior year until I met my wife, my then girlfriend, but my wife now. Melinda, their family, my family, we were grades oriented, but it wasn't until looking at my transcripts, there were some discrepancies with my transcripts. And this is how Ananias Boyd doesn't end up at a major D1 program. So by the time we got everything fixed through protests and stuff like that, going into my senior year, there were a lot of teams that were out of money. Right. It was after signing day. Nobody had money. So rolling into what would be my freshman year. Well, actually, right after signing day, I have a cousin, David Holmes. He played for Syracuse. And Coach Jim Hoffner from Buffalo used to play at Syracuse. And when I sent my tape that I made up at my senior year, when I sent my tape to to Syracuse, they had my tape still, and that coach was my cousin's coach, and he reached out to see if I was still available, right? So I was still available, of course. I really didn't have much what the kids call offers today. I had plenty, but as far as actual hard offers, it wasn't that many. I had a heart condition that was put in the paper my senior year as well, right? To where I missed that Phoebus game. I joke with Coach Blunt all the time because he was part of that first Phoebus staff. That first Phoebus championship as a player, right?
Sure.
That was my senior year, and I always joke with him, if I played that game, that goes differently, right? Right. And rest in peace, Bill D. Bill D. We always joke. We always used to joke about what would have happened if I played that game, the glory days and stuff like that. So, but transitioning into Buffalo, it was almost like I had to take it, because it was my only full scholarship offer, right? And what I talk to the kids about today is recognizing opportunities in the moment, which I did not, right? Full disclosure, I did not recognize the opportunity for what it was. So rolling into my freshman year of school, it was a culture shock. It was D1 ball. When you come from somewhere being a man, it doesn't matter whether you're D1, D2, or D3. When you get there, everybody's the man where they were. And my entire career, and I'm sure Tracy can speak to it, or any of my former coaches, or any of my current colleagues, or anybody that's ever worked with me in a football capacity, I was ever a selfish person, right? That didn't happen until my freshman year of college, when you start smelling yourself and this, that, right? And then you get a rude awakening very quickly. So some things transpired, back at home that required me to actually come back home, and I left after my freshman year. But what I learned during my freshman year under former Super Bowl winning linebacker Antonio Goss with the San Francisco 49ers, what I learned was the business side, right? And if you really want to take this further, and at that point in my career, football was a complete turnoff for me, honestly. It really was. I did not want to play the sport. I did not want anything to do with the sport. I had played it from, oh my gosh, 4 or 5 years old up every year, not missing a year. And I learned how to deal with pressure, the pressure of being a man, and the pressure of expectation, right? So 1 year really taught me a whole lot, but I didn't get the teaching point until 2020 hindsight happened, right? And looking back, and my journey was my journey for a reason. I had to do that in order to come home and realize how much I missed it, and start coaching semi-pro, and then realize how much I missed it and get in the rec league program. You start having a family and stuff like that. You get in the rec league program, and then you start building kids, right? You're a builder of kids when you're coaching rec league. And that's where I was predominantly. And then when I came to JV, I did both, right? I was rec league, I was high school. So during those moments, you really learn how to, one, communicate with kids, right? You learn how to teach the X's and O's to the kids that are not familiar, because it's as young as 8, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, right? They've never played the sport before, and your job is to make them fall in love with it. JV is a little bit different, right? When you get to JV, I say JV is the worst level. If we're being honest, it's the worst level to really have to be coaching, have to coach, but it's most important to your high school program because it's your seeds, right? There is no JV Super Bowl. There is no JV championship. There is no JV district championship. You literally are there to develop, right? Which is similar to rec league. And then now my past 2 years helping out with the varsity, I've seen the varsity side of it. And the varsity side, every level is preparing you for the next level. So with our seniors, our juniors, our sophomores, I'm taking a little bit of Kaz and a little bit of Tracy and making sure, hey, you guys, we're preparing you for the next level, if that's what you want to do, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a sport, but just life in general. We're preparing you for the next level.
Awesome. Really good deep stuff here in the last couple minutes with Coach Nas, the head man of the Grafton Clippers here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, subscribe to our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel. We know you got the youngster coming up, the young Boyd. Hit on just to finish up with you, Coach. Any other breakout names, potentially an unsung hero too, be on the offensive side. Defensively, we didn't get to some of the defensive guys and special teams. I know it's always a big thing for Eddie. So it's about the kicking and punting, getting that third phase, getting forgot about. Maybe some others that are X factors for you potentially in one of those close ball games that you hope to pull out on one of those crazy, wild and wacky Friday nights that could be anything like 37-36 or perhaps one of those 8-7, 14-13 meat grinders, if you will.
Man, hopefully we're taking care of business, and that's not the case.
Right? Yeah, one by 4 touchdowns. Exactly.
In all of our skilled positions, one thing that we're blessed to have is speed everywhere, from AJ to Jaden to Mikhail. I mean, all of these guys were track standouts in the spring, right? So all of them have made state championships, and one of them actually won it indoor. So Will Dickinson, that's a name to look out for. Joshua Lawson, that's a name to look out for. Joel Brooks, he's probably as a long snapper, so tying in the special teams, I know he's like a 3-star or something like that at long snapper. So having him returning, he's young, he's a rising junior. You got Nolan Evers, which this is his first year. He'll be helping out on the line. Like I said, Joey Foley, the Mills twins. Brennan Mills is probably pound for pound our strongest guy in the program. He's 1,200-pound clubber. He has a twin brother, Aiden Mills. They'll be on the line. So yeah, we have a lot of talent, right? The talent the past 2 years has not been, lacking. I think it's just taking care of the little things so they can become big things. Small problems become big problems. Small successes become big successes. And that's what we preach.
Should be a lot of fun this coming season for the Grafton Clippers there in Yorktown, as they will kick it off here at the end of the month against Norcom, and then it's all BRD matchups from there. We look forward to watching you guys grow and prosper there. All the best to you. Congrats again on the job. And Ed's going to be keeping track of how many TDs the youngster gets this year. That's going to be his play this year. He's going to put him as one of his breakouts. He's already seen on our watch list we got coming up later on in our podcast preview show this month.
The problem is,
you said AJ is?
Yeah, no, Ed's going to keep an eye on AJ's TDs.
Okay.
He's going to have him as one of his breakout guys. But go ahead, Ed.
Because here's what's going to happen. It's dad coaching son. Though football, you can pass them off to the position coach and all that other stuff. There's walls of protection. But when you go home, the real CEO of the program will have some things to say as to how come my son don't get the handoffs as much. How come we didn't call his play at 3rd and 1 on the goal line? And when you say, we'll talk about it, I just want to eat dinner first, you understand your dinner might be at one of those fast food places you got to go back out and get.
Right. Well, I tell you what, she's supportive, right? She knows what it is. She's aware of the situation. And of course she wants to see baby do X, Y, and Z, but in order for me, in my entire career, I've coached him 3 different times in his career, with this one being the 3rd, right? So throughout the years, I've coached him, and people don't even know he's my son. So you might be onto something, because I'm not really. If you don't know the name, we call him AJ everywhere else, right? So unless his name is actually spoken, Ananias, and they're like, wait a minute, is that? Yes, it is, but most people don't know he's my son, because I don't play daddy ball. I do not like. If anything, it's a little bit more pressure for him, because the expectation and the pressure of my reputation from the PD. I am known for football, so my reputation around the area kind of precedes him. So he's handling the pressure well as of right now, but we're in for a wild ride.
Just understand, I'm trying to help learn you young guys. I'm sure Tracy did too. Parents want their son to get Division I scholarships because school is expensive. So I guarantee you're going to hear this at home. Well, that boy don't get the scholarship, I hope you got enough money to pay his $40,000 a year for wherever he's going, because it's coming out of your pocket.
Well, hopefully, I mean, he has multiple offers in multiple sports, and then I won't have to worry about that.
Right. Hopefully you won't have to worry about it.
Right. So if wherever God takes us in that regard, man, I'm just humbled to really be able to experience the ride with him as closely as I can. Right. And as closely as I have the opportunity. I don't take that for granted. And I mean, not just with him, that of course, specifically with him, but not just with him, with the rest of the kids, and being part of this rising senior class is that was my JV, my first year, a lot of them. Right. So to be able to be part of changing that mentality from when they first came in the program their freshman year and had a complete meltdown of, I don't even think they won a game. And then go 6-4, and just to witness the growth, it's been rewarding. It has, but the job's not finished. So
it reminds me of something. Years and years ago, Al McGuire, the great Al McGuire, was a longtime basketball coach at Marquette. Then he was an announcer on, I think, NBC or whatever. Tremendous. I met him personally in the coaching business. He was just a different kind of guy, but a winner. He coached his son, Ali. Ali was okay as a player, good passer, set up, nowhere near the athletes that Marquette at that time had. And I remember at a clinic, once somebody had asked him, or it might have been a press conference, Coach, you play Ali a whole lot. It seems like there's some other guys that should be getting time. Can you explain to us why he gets to play? And Al just turned and looked at me. He says, well, there's a lot of reasons I can give you, but the biggest reason is I sleep with his mother. And the crowd went berserk. End of sentence. It was done with. So every time I hear of a coach coaching their son, I don't know why that pops up in the back of my mind. Somebody ever says, well, why does that kid get to play a lot? There's a common answer you can throw out.
There's a quotable for us writers there when he says, coach says sleeps with players.
Right. Print that.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, hey, Coach, this has been a real pleasure getting a chance to meet you virtually here through the great technology of the computer screen. All the best to you, your family, and these Clippers here in 2024 and beyond. And I'm sure we'll be connecting, hopefully after a big win on one of these Saturday mornings. So keep in touch. All the best to you, and we'll be talking down the road.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I actually love the show, so good job. So I appreciate you guys. Can't wait to come back.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck to you now.
Good. Ananias Boyd, head man of the Grafton Clippers in his first season at the helm, former Bethel Bruin standout, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's CoVA Sports TV. We got to pay some bills. We got to take a time out and hear from some of the sponsors that make it possible. We'll come back with more right here.